Okay, it is. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead, Ellie.
It's 4:54 p.m. and we have exited executive session and no actions were taken in executive session. So we have only 6 minutes left in our scheduled time. So I think we don't have time to do the second executive session that was on the agenda. I've had to think about the contents in there and I don't feel like it's going to be a train smash to wait 2 weeks. Steve?
We want to ask the executive committee if we can extend our meeting for another 30 minutes or something. Is that possible? Then we can knock off a lot of this stuff. I think the next executive session is pretty important, although it's not. It seems to me it's a lot less important than we started our meeting. But are any of you able to stay on, or are you all able to stay on for another half hour until 5:30?
No.
Okay, so be it. Go ahead, Ellie. However you want to attack it.
Okay, so we're going to move on to section 10 updates. So the finance committee is the first one. So the finance committee did meet last week. We had, I think, a really productive and great discussion, mostly around the audit. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also had a look at the audit RFP and I went ahead and issued that this morning. Is there anything you want to say, Lynn, out of the finance committee meeting?
It was a very good meeting. I will echo what Ellie said. Good questions from the finance committee. We're really lucky to have these folks meeting with us. We will be meeting with them again. We said another meeting because this morning, I'm just going to wrap it all together, Ellie.
Perfect.
We met with the auditor. We had some outstanding questions, 3 specifically, but in the end, only 1. But it was one that the finance committee was wondering about too. And we met with the auditor this morning, Ellie, Darlene, and I. We have the answer to our question. And the audit is in its final, will be sent to us in the final draft, but it won't be final with Bonnie signing off until the governance committee board approves it.
Yep.
So, and before we do that, we're meeting briefly with the finance committee to just share our discovery with the accountant this morning. So
Yep.
Also just great that they are nimble enough to meet with us, within a week of our last meeting. So anyway, I'm feeling grateful for that committee and their perspective. And I think it just makes the CUD from that perspective, financial perspective, even more robust because these are folks that have lots of experience and kind of bring that to bear in terms of their just incredible experience, in related fields. So anyway, that's it. And we're about to, basically the audit is complete. We feel good about it, have a clean opinion. And yeah, that feels great from my perspective.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. To Ellie and Darlene, really incredible, because a lot of work had to happen to move from through 23, 24, and 25, right?
And we're now trying to be compliant with our quarterly asset capitalization that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
So finally almost there.
All good news on that front.
Okay. So the next couple items we have asset labeling, Ripton update, and parking lots. Let's just tackle those quickly. Steve or anyone, what are the topics that you want to cover from there? And then whatever we don't get to, we'll talk about the next meeting.
I don't know that we need to take the entire executive committee through the asset labeling. It sounds to me like we're not ready to really pull the trigger on that. We don't really know what this is all going to look like. It sounds like you believe that you have to do some additional work in the background, maybe in the next couple of weeks, to kind of bring that to closure. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, that was something we talked about with the finance committee as well, that Barry Dunn last year, as part of our BEAD capacity grant, wrote this long document talking about our standard operating procedures in anticipation of BEAD. We need to review that now. Well, we don't have a BEAD grant agreement, but there's more updated guidance, there's more updated FAQs, And especially as it relates to the BEAD program, we're not doing this just by ourselves. We're doing this with WCVT as I mean, I know that the NTIA considers them a contractor, but we consider them a partner. And so we need to make sure that everything is clear from top to bottom, not only with the things they're doing on our behalf as service provider, with inventory management and releasing things to the field and keeping track of assets, but also in terms of how they're handling their part of the BEAD build. So there's a lot of work there. And that's something we did talk about with the finance committee, that's not going to be ready in draft form the next time we meet next week. But we've already given them a heads up that that's part of the expectation of helping us work through the policies and procedures as it relates to this, because the details of grant compliance are super important, and you want to make sure that you get them bedded down before you realize that you have been 6 months in and you don't have the right record keeping, and then sometimes it's literally impossible to create records if you haven't been keeping track of things from the get-go.
Mhm.
Perhaps, well, it's up to everyone. I've got a little 2-slide presentation about Ripton. And I don't know what else is urgent. Mine isn't urgent either, so I don't know. Is there anything that we really have to talk about, Ellie?
I think the only thing is I did mention this in the executive director report, but the network management agreement, I've been through that with WCVT's consultant who's been taking the lead on that from a legal perspective. That's sitting with Roger now. But we explicitly agreed that we're going to be leaving BEAD compliance out of it, partly because we don't know what all the things are, as just discussed, and that's going to be a separate set of work. And then we've also discovered cybersecurity as a whole nasty nest, between insurance and legal and so on. So basically, BEAD and we're punting on BEAD and cybersecurity. That's going to be a phase 2 revision to the network management agreement coming later this summer. But I think we're going to be very close to hopefully later this summer. Shouldn't set a time frame until we actually understand when we're going to be getting all this information. But the other changes to the network management agreement to clean up the changes we've been talking about for some time now, we're getting ready to wrap that up. So Roger's reviewing it now.
Great.
So that will be something that we'll obviously need to talk about in this committee when the time comes, just to make sure that you guys are aware of what these changes are and why.
I can't
Okay.
stay till 5:30, but if the Ripton is really 3 slides, I'm sure I can stay for that.
It's really low energy, low engagement little report. It's really, it's maybe a good way to end the call as long as there's nothing else that's really urgent. I'm happy
Okay.
to give you 5 minutes of a talk.
Good with me.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, if it's okay. Let's do that. It's pretty fast. Okay. Slideshow. So I think maybe Zapata, didn't join us until after we got an easement with Middlebury, but it's this is the location of our hub, and probably most all of you have been down there at one point or another, down off of 7 Mary Hogan Drive. And so that location has been established, and we work with Athens Central School District and went through quite a few steps to get that all sorted out, and we got an easement signed. An important feature of that easement is that it is we didn't have to pay anything for it. The school district didn't charge us for it at all. We used a little bit of consultant time to make sure it was satisfactory, but that's the extent of it. The only thing that kind of remains in this is that we offered to them a means of providing some kind of screening, meaning that people who are driving down Mary Hogan Drive might find this box sitting there in the middle of their lawn ugly. And so part of what we proposed to them at the time was to kind of install some kind of a privacy shield or something like that, like some plants or a chain link fence that was decorated in some way. So that's kind of an open item. We don't really know what it's going to look like, but I think we're prepared. Maple Broadband is prepared to contribute to making that an aesthetically pleasing installation if it's at all reasonable. The same kind of thing. And Nancy, I know this looks like a gold star there, but don't get any ideas. It's not.
Oh.
It's not. It's not. It's a fake. It's a fake out. So this is
Okay.
this is the Ripton hub location. That's also when this was responsibility of Addison Central School District, same deal. We did all of our negotiations. We executed an easement for the location you see up there in the upper right corner. And that's the one that is all in place, including a building permit. So I met with the select board, the Ripon Select Board, met Giles Hoyler, who is the new select board chair, and they moved me at the top of the agenda because they knew I was there. So I was actually sitting in there, and there's this little area here that's kind of a bump on the side of it. It's like all windows, and we all sat down in these little 2.5 foot tall chairs having our little meeting and talked about what Maple Broadband was looking for. And the outside, the construction guy, the gentleman who's responsible that works for Easton and is he's responsible for all the buildings. He kind of, I thought tongue in cheek, said, "Why don't we just put the hub right in the middle of that turnaround there?" And I thought it was just tongue in cheek. I thought he was just being funny about it. But I started thinking about it, and it occurred to me that, well, what if we did put our little hub there? It's about 4.5 feet tall. It's on the slab is 6 feet by 7 feet. And right now, this is now, all of this is the town of Ripon's property. We could put a sign up right here and it would block the view of the hub. So I sent my brilliant proposal to Chris Pike, who's the kind of leading this up. Just made that suggestion. We'd be happy. I think we ought be happy to offer the reasonable cost of fabricating a sign that says Ripon or something to that effect on it, and then the field, the resources that Ripon has to work on the roads, they could dig a hole and put the sign up there. So he passed that suggestion on to the rest of the select board, and also I pointed out to him that the last 2 easements we did with ACSD were both we didn't have to pay for, and we'd be grateful if you would not charge us for this easement as well. So whether or not they choose to do that, remains to be seen, but that's kind of the way it looks right now. So that's my report.
Great.
Question?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm presuming they probably won't charge for the easement because otherwise we'd be well within our rights to enforce the existing easement, which is not a desirable location to them. So I
Yeah.
imagine we'll come right in that regard.
And
Yeah,
I'm glad they're not getting a real gold star.
They understand, because the presentation I did and pointed out that if we have to put those roll bars over the top of that pad, that's like $4,000.
Yeah.
And they know that it's about $4,000, and that's why I think why Zapata said maybe we can put it someplace else. And so that's the seed that kind of got us to where we are now. So
Yeah.
what benefit it yields, we don't know yet, but we're making progress on it. They're engaged. They're keeping us in the loop.
Thank you, Steve.
Anybody have anything else?
Okay. If not, our next meeting is May 11th. Can you believe we're already in May?
Hmm.
May 11th. All right. Thank you guys. Great meeting today.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
I'll see you in a couple weeks' time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.